We're about to get a unique perspective on all this. Most people you would think, flee a war zone, but our next guest, Hana Schank, did the opposite. She moved to Israel from the U.S. right in the middle of this war. She's joining us live from Tel Aviv this morning. She's an author, former Obama White House staffer as well. Thanks for being here this morning on Connecting America, Hana.
Thank you for having me.
In a recent Substack, I know you wrote you needed to move to Israel to find people who love America. What do you mean by that?
I don't think that people understand the degree to which Israelis really look at themselves as a subsidiary of the United States, admire the United States, and are incredibly patriotic for the U.S. And at a time where it feels like the thing that unifies, the primary thing that's unifying Americans is that everybody is really angry at the country. It was nice to just come and be in a place where people still love America. And, especially right now, there are American flags everywhere. People are saying, thank you to our president. And it's a real feeling. It's a real, they believe in America.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Now, my question is, you've experienced a war. Your feelings about the ceasefire. You told one of our producers that you feel like you can breathe again. Can you expound on that?
Yes, I will say it's not necessarily about the ceasefire. I think having the hostages home gives you permission to think about something else. It's been this cloud that has been living in the brains of so many Jews all around the country that our family is kidnapped, and you just can't move forward until you can't think about anything else. It's just this driving force of, you need your family home, And so the fact that the hostages have been returned is just, it's like, there's room to breathe and room to finally, I feel like my brain can move forward and start to think about the next steps. And I honestly don't have a lot of hope for the ceasefire. I think, we're in this phase now of that was phase one, was getting the hostages back. We're now waiting for phase two, which we don't know what it's going to be. Living in Israel certainly means living in a permanent war zone. It just is variations on how much of a war it is at any moment. So I think we are having a momentary silence and peace, but I don't think it's, I think everybody here is expecting something is going to happen again.
Can you share with us, Hana, what that's like to live in a war zone, to live in Israel? I don't think many here in this country understand what that daily life is like when you feel like you're living under constant threat. How have you been feeling in that atmosphere?
It's funny. I feel safer here than I felt in New York, significantly safer.
Wow.
Even though we get weekly missiles from Yemen. My son's bedroom is Mamad. It's a safe room, so it's a bomb shelter. And once a week, at least, we get a siren, and we go into the Mamad and wait for the all clear. But I don't worry generally when I walk out of my house that someone is going to shoot me. I don't worry when my kids are at school that there is going to be a hard lockdown. When we were living in New York, we lived with the constant threat of gun violence. Both of my kids were in the public school system. Both of them had multiple hard lockdowns, a bomb threat, a riot. There was always something, and it was like you're always waiting for the next thing. And I, over the period of time of raising my children, they're both elder teenagers now. We went from having a synagogue that was walking distance to our house, that was like a third place for them, where they could go after school and hang out. The doors were always open. It was just, an extra living space. And over the past 10 years, it's gone from the doors are always open to there's a security guard permanently stationed out front. They had to install video surveillance cameras throughout the premises, and a single button lockdown, which they put in after the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh. So it felt very much like we were leaving a war zone. And while, yes, we live with the threat of violence here, the threat is much more existential, and it doesn't feel like it's not coming from other people. It's not coming from other Israelis. In the United States, you live with this constant threat of violence from other Americans who want to do you harm. And we just didn't want to live that way anymore. So I feel safer as a Jew. I feel safer here.
Hana, that is stunning that you feel safer there than in New York, and it's very telling, very revealing. We appreciate that. What's your take on the political climate in the U.S., first as a Jew and now as an Israeli American?
I think that I worked in the Obama White House, and I worked adjacent to the Biden administration. And part of why we left was because I, along with many other Jews, started to feel politically homeless. Like there was no party looking out for us. There was nobody to represent us. I felt like I didn't have a voice. So the United States is living through an era of democratic backsliding. From my work at a think tank, came to understand that we were no longer living in a democracy, and that it had been a very long time since citizens had a real voice. So I am not optimistic about the future. I think that Americans are incredibly divided, and it feels like the soul of the community has been lost. It's like I can't think of, when the hostages came home, 400,000 people went to celebrate and wait for them all night in Hostages Square here. 400,000 people is the population of Tel Aviv. So I just thought, like, I can't think of something in America where everybody would be able to come together and have this communal, amazing experience of relief. I can't think of a single thing. And it's like, it's very painful to be here watching the country tear itself apart. And I don't think that there's anybody at the moment who is acting as a unifying voice, who's pushing back on the democratic backsliding. I think people are still living in a world of, 8 to 10 years ago.
Hana Schank, thanks for joining us from Tel Aviv this morning. Appreciate your perspective. It's interesting that she felt in New York, close to where we are right here, she felt under constant threat of gun violence. I'm not sure exactly where in New York she was living.
But I think it's more the community she felt in where she is now. She feels drawn there, and I think that's what's giving her a sense of safety as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just know my personal experience in the city of New York is different from what she described.
Right.
So everybody has a different take on it. And if you have children in school, I can understand how you're worried about the potential for violence entering the schoolyard.